Okay, so I'm going to be bouncing between a few environments here, but I'll try to recap everything that we've added. So the first change is in point of sale on the main screen before a customer has been selected. We now have an orders tab. So you can click there and you can view orders from the system for all customers. Previously, you had to select a customer first, and then you could either create a new order or view orders for that customer. So if we were searching for a customer, you could then see, whoops, let me choose the customer. Once you were in a customer, you could see that customer's orders, but now we have the ability to view order system-wide. There's a toggle in MRK Control that controls whether these orders load by default. So you'll notice that when I went into POS and clicked on the orders tab, initially there were no orders loaded. That's controlled by a toggle. So based on how that's set in MRK Control, it will either automatically load them or require a button click for it. I guess another thing to point out, this table is using a lazy loading feature that we're going to start, I think, centralizing on for all of the tables. So as you page through the results, it's making API calls and pulling back just that page of results. Gives us the ability to show the total record count and kind of make things more efficient as we're pulling back just pieces of data. All of the sort and filter operations are then properly paged and reflecting all of the total record count. We've had some issues in some other places where that was not applying. So that's a change there. Go back and select a customer. So another feature is we've added the ability for custom fields to be required. So this custom cal field here is a required field. If I would try to progress, we'll get an error message indicating that you must supply a value. Another change is we now allow fractional quantities based on the fractions set up in the parts.e for a given record. So you'll notice that this part 19 has a fractional display here. So you could sell a portion of the product if you wanted and add that to your cart. And that's reflected through the cart view. If the part is not flagged as fractional, it'll just be an integer value as normal. Load searched orders into view setting. Let me transition over here to a different environment real quick. So this is a user setting. Under the settings section, there's this toggle. We were just discussing before the meeting that we need to change the help text and the label here. It's not exactly correct. So what this does is if you're in POS and you search for an order, there are sort of two flows that can happen. So I paste in an order number there. Without that toggle set, it's going to put that order into my cart to allow me to finalize that order. The alternate flow, if I change that setting, is if I search for the order, it will then take me into the order and allow me to edit it. And the page that you land on here is determined by MRK control toggles. So in the order flow, you can either go to the order header first or to the parts section where you're selecting parts. So based on how that's set in MRK control, that's where you will land. So again, if you toggle that setting, that allows you to jump into order, editing the order if you search for an order in there as a result. All right, let me jump into one more environment here. That's not the right one. Okay, so the next change is in our credit card flow where point of sale is integrated with a PIN pad. We've now added an option so that the credit card capture and sale can occur on the host side. This is a little difficult to demo, but this environment has that set. So when you click on credit card now, rather than it going out and prompting on the PIN pad for the card to be captured, it instead just prompts you for the amount you want to charge with an optional manual credit card entry. What this box does is informs the PIN pad that you want to be able to manually key in the card rather than swipe or tap it. So if that's checked, it lets the PIN pad know that that's your choice. So then if you would proceed here, upon clicking submit payment, then your pen pad is going to become active and let you enter the card details. Without this flow set, when you clicked on credit card, it would right then activate the pen pad and ask you to provide the card. And then you would be prompted for the amount after the card was captured. There's a couple advantages to doing it this way. It allows the card charge to happen from the host side, and then it can be processed as a card present rather than a manual card entry. So this workflow, again, only applies if you have pen pads enabled, and it can be toggled to work in either way, depending on how we want that to be processed.
Real quickly,
Yep.
I don't know if everybody realizes, Greg, but the reason that you want to have that be a card present transaction is because the rates for their credit card transaction are lower, if that's the case.
Yeah, good point, Jim. Thank you. Another thing that this enables is for some alternate payment types to be processed via the pen pads. So this allows things like Apple Pay and some of the other device-based payments that the pen pads support. So prior to that setting, we couldn't support those kinds of transactions because of the way that we're tokenizing cards. So this opens the door to those type of payments as well. Another quick change is we just added some additional help text to better explain what some of these options are. And there are tooltips that show up when you hover over certain fields now as well, specific to the payment workflow. Okay. Another item that was enabled in the last release was validation on Rover systems. So what validation means is that during certain operations, we make calls back to the host and allow for the host to do validation during the workflow. Previously, we were only enabling that on non-Rover implementations, but we now have that available to be implemented on Rover as well. So what you might do there is, let me go back to, I may not have a great way to showcase this, but so with validation, you could do things like when your ship to address is being changed, we can make a call back to the back end and then influence things like the sales tax rate, or if the ship to is changed, we could change the ship via based on the state that it was changed to, or something like that. So it adds some additional functionality based on changes that are occurring in the point of sale that can be influenced on the host side, and those settings could be different per back end, right? So one customer can have it set one way, another customer can do it completely differently. So that's now available for Rover. Alrighty, sorry, let me check my notes, make sure I'm catching everything here. So that covers the changes in point of sale. So now I'm going to jump in and just do another review of production scheduling. We showed that in the last demo day, but it wasn't quite in production yet. So I'm going to kind of spin through it real quick and highlight a couple things that have been adjusted since the last demo of that. So production scheduling shows up with a little ruler and pencil here. There's two main tabs to it. You have the work order table that is just a list of all the work orders that can be sorted and filtered based on statuses. You can click into a work order and you're able to update notes. That's the only editable field that's been supplied at this point. And then on the scheduling tab, so the purpose here is to be able to schedule the operations within a work order onto work centers. So there's a couple things that have changed here. We've started implementing the ability to have custom fields added into this table. There's going to be some changes coming up in the future, but as additional customers implement production scheduling, we want to be able to show fields that are important to them in the data table. So that's started here. There's also the ability to edit the notes from this view. That was added since the last demo, I believe, so you can update notes and save them from here. Another key thing is we started calculating the length of the operation based on some fields that are defined in the routing and in the work center. So what I'm going to do here is drag two different work orders on, and you'll see that the length of time of the schedule is dynamic. So first we're going to drag one in here that has a quantity of 55. So you'll notice it's a really short item there. And then we'll grab one that has a quantity of 505. So it's using details set up in the work center and in the routing in combination with the quantity on the work order and dynamically calculating the runtime so that you don't have to manually adjust that. Let me see if I can show one other quick thing. So the previous demos were always showing orders with a single operation. Here's another quick demo. There we go. So if the work order has multiple operations defined, those will show up here, and dragging them into the chart. Get it to drag. We were just having a conversation this morning about needing to make these collapsible to make it a little easier to get to the chart from the operation. But you'll notice that 3 different operations were scheduled here. So the work order had 3 operations defined, and they run on different work centers. So that then scheduled those across the work centers that apply to those operations. All right, that's kind of a recap of production scheduling. And at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Alex, who will recap some of the additional scan functions that were previously demoed but were not yet in production. So Alex, you want to take it away?
Sure. All right, so we'll save you from too in-depth of a demo here again, since we've kind of shown this before and features haven't really changed. But we do have these now in production: a start job, an end job, and a woe completion task in scan. So you can go into any of these, and you can see it's actually loading up some information already right from the start, loading in my employee ID and also the function. And so these are controllable by a few different options here. So in labor control, you can select a default start job labor function. So whatever is selected here will automatically be loaded here once the employee ID is entered. And for the employee ID, that is actually a user setting so that you can turn on use user ID as employee ID in scan. And when that's turned on for the start job, the end job, and woe completion, they will all automatically default your employee ID in there. Just kind of to show we can get into order. Moving on to the end job. So yep, you can see this basically automatically loads everything for you right from the start. But then we have the new feature here of move to next operation. And so if you do turn this on, you can move quantity to the next operation in the work order. We have a couple options here. So option 0, all of this goes away. It's just ending the job, only time entry is going to be tracked. Option 1 is what you see here. So you can optionally decide you want to move some quantity to the next operation in the work order. And then this final option here, this actually lets you enter any operation in the work order, so you can move quantity back and forth in skip operations if you'd like. Again, it's still optional, so if you don't fill it in, you just track your time entry. And I've got the work order locked for purposes of demonstration here. And so this is kind of what you see: shop transactions being entered as you move parts through and scan, and as well in labor, you can see I've tracked some time to this work order today. And then finally, the woe completion, kind of the same thing, automatically loading the employee ID, can enter a work order. This fills in most of the screen for you, and then you just have to enter whatever quantity. Again, I have it locked, so it won't let me do anything. But that's kind of the process of if you want a complete quantity for the work order, that's all you really need to do. So I believe that's just about it for the new scan functionality that's gone out.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. Any questions on that?
I was just wondering if maybe when you enter the work order number, it could check right then to see if it's locked, to save you the time of going through the rest of it. Just a thought.
Yeah, we can do that. We get into, especially with APIs, it can get kind of confusing because it could be locked in that second by somebody else doing something, but with an API call, it's only taking a quarter of a second. Then you can technically still progress on and finish your operation at the end, and it won't be locked at that point. So we get into some confusing situations there, but we could certainly at least give you a heads up, like, hey, you might not be able to save this right away.
And once you receive that lock message, if the record is then unlocked, you can go ahead and just click save completion entry, and it would proceed unless something had changed with that work order that conflicts with the update that you're making. And in that case, we display that kind of information as well. Yeah, good thought, Chad. All right, let's hand it off to Assad, who's going to show us a couple other things that have gone into production since the last meeting.
Can you guys hear me fine?
Yep,
Oh, no.
we hear you.
Oh, okay, got it. Just some quick little updates I have. I'm right here in the contact log. The ability to add or to edit a new date is now here. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a contact log here. You can do a follow-up call. To my knowledge, this wasn't a thing before, so we have right here, we're going to create that contact log, and then you can go right here and then edit the date. So for the people who were using this, this is now something that's available to you. Another quick thing we have is the greeting message that is displayed if you haven't seen it already. I'm going to just log out and then just show you guys real quick. With the logout, it depends on the time zone. So like you'll get a good morning or a good afternoon or good evening message. And then if you're on anywhere from midnight to like 5 a.m., you'll get like a nice to see you again, which I don't know why you'd be on at that time, but if you were working that late, but yep, just this little greeting message right here. Any questions or thoughts on anything?
Are we gonna get AI to customize those greetings by whoever it's talking to?
That would
I'll put that
be
on
an
the
interesting
backlog,
idea.
Jed.
The backlog.
It'd be cool.
All right, thanks, Assad. Next is Christian, who will give us a little preview of the inventory module and receiving.
Okay, let me just go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. Nope, wrong screen. There we go. Okay, so today I am going to be demoing our brand new inventory module. As you can see right here, the first landing page is a table full of POs. And similar to our other tables, you're able to filter, sort. We have pagination and all of those good things. So with the inventory module, similar to Rover's receipts.e, we're able to take a PO and turn it into a receipt. So we could either go from clicking the button to make a new receipt, or we could just simply click on a PO. And so from here, this is our new sort of receipts.e form. You could see that we can see the PO, we pull in PO notes, the vendor status, packing slip and receipt date. But the main thing is our line items. And as you can see, we have some buttons to receive all and clear all. And if you were to hit receive all, it will update the quantity received to take in all of the total open quantity. And we could also do clear all. And you're also able to, on the left-hand side, we have some a clickable checkbox. So you're able to do individual line items. So if you click one, it'll only do that one. And then we also have a way to break out the receiving for line items. So if you open this toggle, you're able to see the quantity received based off the line items. And this is something you're also able to do in receipt study. So we could do individual, and then you could also hit on the right, there's these plus and minus button. And so we could split it out. So we could do 2 for this lot, 1, 2 for this other one. And one thing to note is if you split it out into multiple line items, you'll no longer be able to update it here because we're not able to split those. That's just one note. So I'll just delete these. Let me clear that. So I will just do this line item for this demonstration. I'll just click this one and then hit save. And so once that occurs, we've created our receipt. It's 7297-1. And then if we wanted to make a new one, we could go back and then hit the same one. And then you'll notice that the line item number 1 is now gone because that's been finalized. And then I'll go ahead and receive all and then save. And so now this receipt has been created. This is just a way for Rover users to take what has been happening in Rover Desktop study into the web and give it a nice UI and a few more capabilities. I believe that covers the inventory module. It's a pretty lightweight module right now, and we're going to be adding more features as needed. But definitely a nice one to have.
Christian, can you describe the color coding that was happening there as you were
I'm sorry.
entering quantities?
Yeah, I could do that. Sure. So the blue is for quantities that match the quantity received, and then you could also lower it, and then the yellow signifies that it hasn't fully. It's more of a partial receiving, and then we actually don't allow you to receive more quantity than expected, and so that'll block the API call as well as show a red. Sorry, I glossed over that one.
All right, thank you.
Just a quick little note. Also, the details button, right? It shows extra some fields we're pulling back from the Rover desktop client, right? Or the desktop, right? Or I guess they're not full right now, but
that one, yeah, that's a little bit trickier because not every PO has details. But yeah, gloss of this one as well. So this is the purchase order schedule. This is what drives how much you're able to see, and you're also able to see the breakdown of the buy unit of measures, the buy factor, and the work order ID. I think that's it. This is something that Assad and I had been splitting some of the work on. He was the one who made the button, so I kind of forgot about that one. Were there any other questions?
Well, I just have a note. There are certain industries that the quantity received is not finite. For example, they'll order, 12,000 feet of wire, and maybe it comes in at 11,997, or maybe it comes in at 12,025. They'll enter that quantity either less than or greater than the quantity they ordered, and then they need the ability to state that this is complete. No back order should be created. Just a thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
there are
no,
some control flags related to this, and Christian, honestly, I'm not sure whether we've wired those in yet or not, but there are some variance values that are defined for POs, and if we're not currently implementing those, that would be a next step here, where we would allow overage for short receipts based on the control setup. So that could take care of part of that.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, Christian, did you want to also show the shortcuts?
Sure, I could do that. Let me close this tab.
By the way, the inventory module and receiving will go out with our next release. So 1.10.0 hopefully is going out this week, and that will be in production when it goes out. We have one customer that's eager to start testing that, so we'll be getting some feedback from them and be making some additional functionality updates based on their feedback.
Okay, so for the next demonstration, one item we've been working on is adding shortcuts to point of sale. If you notice, the focus now moves on to the quantity. And so if you were on a keyboard, if you do arrow up and arrow down, adjust the quantity. And now if you arrow up and then hit enter, it'll automatically add that item to the order. And so we've also added a shortcut for shift up and shift down, and that'll navigate you to the next item. And so now you're able to just keep your hands on the keyboard and able to add parts pretty quickly. And another shortcut we've added is shift F. Oh, sorry, control F, my mistake. And that will navigate the focus to the parts. And so now I'm able to just search a part, and then the focus will go back to the table into the quantity. And so you're able to just navigate there. It's a small item, but I think it's going to be a pretty big improvement into productivity and being able to more quickly build orders in point of sale.
And Christian, this is coupled with the user setting that dictates whether or not you're using a barcode scanner, right? So for the users that are using barcode scanners and have that stuff turned on, their focus stays on the search for parts input so that they don't get disrupted there. They're able to just click, 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 keep using their scanner today, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, if you have the barcode scanning, I could show that. Barcode scanning options on, scanner mode on, that will ignore all of those new features for shortcuts. I can just go back. But yeah, I think that was a pretty small demonstration of the new keyboard shortcuts.
And we're happy to take on more ideas for shortcuts too. They're relatively straightforward to implement. So I know there's been a lot of customer interest in that lately, and the messaging is just load us up with the shortcuts that would be helpful. We do envision making them customizable at some point, and just trying to stay sensitive to not overriding popular browser shortcuts, right? So control F in the browser to search the page. You don't want to step on that, but we still ton of possibility in here. Lots of great things that can add on to that.
All right, thanks, Christian. I guess I will wrap it up with a quick demo that we are getting back to our AI implementation. There were some delays there because some updates that one of our partners was making, and also us prioritizing some other functionality. But we hope to be rolling out AI into production here pretty shortly. So I know it's been a while since we showed this, so our AI chat is going to show up with this chat icon in lower right. When you click on that, it will bring up an assistant that you can then have a conversation with. We can control the prompts, default prompts, based on the area within the application. So actually, I apologize. We have that functionality in play in the older assistant. We're working on wiring it back up in the new assistant from the partner. So these are not changing dynamically right now as we want. But if we click one of the prompts, it will submit that question to AI. So it asks what customer has the highest AR balance. It's going out and connecting in with Rover BI to pull that data back. And then I can click on a subsequent prompt to get further details. So show an aging summary for this customer. So again, querying the AI engine, which is interacting with Rover BI data to give us an answer. There, broke out an aging summary for their open balance. We do have the ability to change agents dynamically based on where you are in the application. So we were just in the customer section. If I jumped over to POS, we now have a different assistant that's backing that. So in this case, we do have different prompts. And if I clicked on those, these prompts are actually driven by static help data about this section of the site. So we have the ability to have it query both Rover BI data and static content if we wanted. So I just asked it, what are my options on the customer selection screen? And it, based on having knowledge of our help docs for POS section of the website, it was able to give me that response. Can I use a barcode scanner? And you don't have to use the prompts. You can ask it random questions too. So if we go back to the other assistant and clear it, any customers do I have? So in this case, this assistant, that's funny, that's only one. So there's still some learning curve here and some training that we're doing to get it to give us good answers. I think it's telling me that in the context of the last question that I asked. Show me 30 customers. So this particular agent only has access to the, that's funny, it's stuck on the one customer. So AI is a work in progress, as we know. But this assistant has been given access to only the cust and the OpenAR tables. We can define per assistant which BI tables the assistant has access to, and then sort of guide what information can be provided. And again, that will be dynamic based on where we are in the system. And then we're thinking about all kinds of interesting things. We have the ability to add additional skills where we can wire in the ability for certain actions to be taken based on chat conversations. So sending out emails or, potentially eventually updating certain records based on directions that are given to the AI agent. But that's where we're at. We're excited to be back on this and hopefully having something available to start interacting with in production here shortly. Any questions on that? All right. Well, that is our demo day for today, unless there are any other questions.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice work, guys.
Yeah, this
looks
was
great.
awesome.
Really exciting.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks.
You too. Bye.
You too.
Yep, you
Bye
too.
now.
Nice job.
Yeah, nice
everyone.
job. Great job.
Yeah, great job.
Thanks, everyone.